All right, good morning. I see Cindy and Trish and Fish and Golf and Uncle Steve and Cindy drew first blood. Rock and roll. Nothing like getting that first comment in. But I'll grant y'all, Cindy kind of cheated. She was clearly sitting around waiting for the show to start because she was watching my live stream just a minute ago, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second after we kind of get moving on this. And I see that Sergeant Major has checked in with us. So, without further ado, let's do the let's do the damn thing. All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right. So I don't see, I do not yet see His Majesty in the comments. I'm sure he'll figure out what's going on. But basically, what happened was, it. Let me just double check something over here. I might have accidentally hijacked Rumble. I think I did. I might have broken Rumble. See Fish and Golf over there. Okay, okay. I think I know what I did. Lessons learned this morning. So what happened was, I thought I'd be slick and clever, and I went to do a little short live stream just from my phone, just a few minutes before the show. I think I started about 8 minutes before we went live. Um, and I was hoping to catch everybody and say, hey, I have noticed, and I do not approve, that YouTube and Google, by the way, we are currently on YouTube, and I see a lot of you guys are still watching on YouTube. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, that's okay. But YouTube, I know you're listening because of the kind of material we cover, uh, and the number of times that you've taken us off the air illegitimately and created for me an opportunity to write and whoop your ass with a legal retort on claims of everything from violating uh, customer service policies, community standards policies, all the way up to having to rebut and win uh, copyright claims against your litigious asses. Anyway, YouTube and Google appear to be cracking down on ad blockers. Given the timing, one can only assume that it's related to the campaign, especially since it appears that not only are they cracking down on ad blockers, but anecdotally, and I do say anecdotally, I don't have any particular study data, but it seems very much like just in about the last week or so, they've ramped up the frequency of ads. It seems like you can barely watch 5 minutes of a YouTube video without it getting interrupted with an ad every 5 or 6 minutes. Maybe some, it seems like it's happening even more frequently. And basically, YouTube, for about the last 3 or 4 days at least, has just about been completely unwatchable for me. So, my suggestion for all of you out there, and I'm going to harp on this. I'm going to harp on this until I'll keep checking YouTube because I like the YouTube. I hate to say it, I like Rumble in theory. YouTube is much more user friendly, and that's unfortunate because I would prefer to completely divorce myself from that apparatus and environment. But frankly, right now, it is where the audience is. But and it's a more user friendly platform. They have a better search algorithm. No surprise. There are reasons to want to prefer YouTube, but none of those reasons are ideologically sound or moral. Certainly not ethical. So, at least for the immediate future, I highly recommend that you watch this show on X, in particular, specifically X. X is doing more for creators generally to help us build brand and get paid than Rumble is even able to do yet, and more than YouTube or Facebook will ever be interested in doing, because of course they want to subsidize your people like Harry Sisson, who is still out there seething and coping and going on TikTok and Twitter to the younger guys and trying to make the argument that Joe Biden actually won the debate. Oh, no, style's just not that important, says the 21-year-old sexually ambiguous metro kid with the floofy puffy hair. Yeah, all right. This is a kid that gets manicures twice a week and he drinks pumpkin spice. He's a basic white bitch. He was assigned basic white bitch at birth. So Terry Zettel, I'm on X now too. Oh, thanks for joining us there. So anyway, yeah, try to watch on X for a while. And since you all need to go on X so you can watch this show without being aggravated by these assholes with their ads, while you're there, I highly recommend you follow some people you know, like Juanita Broderick, what's his face that used to play Hercules, and there's several that are great follows. There's a lot of good comedy there. So all that said, the last little piece of housekeeping. Okay, so Cindy and Sergeant Major, I know because they both commented, were watching when I did the little live bump up right before the show, and we've just learned two things. I've just learned two things. If I've already set up the show for the day and I try to do that, then it looks like, oh, hey, Fish and Golf, you're still commenting on Rumble. I see your comments on Rumble, so let me know if you're actually seeing are you seeing the actual show on Rumble? I thought I'd broken it. We may have just. Hey, looks like I'm live on Rumble too. Good. Okay, cool. So that's not the problem. That's not the thing that went wrong. The other thing is, about halfway through the 2-minute live video that I did this a little bit ago, we lost sound. And I know what happened there is I wasn't paying attention. I was out there standing by the woods, standing in the corner of the woods in my front yard. And when I started watching, or when I started just kind of walking and rambling, I got too close to the studio and my phone connected to the Bluetooth device in the studio. And so all of a sudden, the audio, all the audio from the phone got switched over here, and that's how you lost me. That's how I lost you. So all that. Good morning. I hope everybody had a fantastic 4th yesterday. I hope everybody came out of it with 10 and 10. Right? That's always a concern. And it is Firearms Friday, so we will peacefully and patriotically discuss our right to keep and bear, the means of salvation. Because that's what your daily carry is. It is the means of your salvation. And in the event that you encounter a situation where there are other lives at stake, it is the means of their salvation as well. It is the staff with which you will defend the flock from all manner of wolves. So, let's begin with San Antonio man shot, killed after refusing to leave property. Okay. A headline like that almost screams DRT, but trespassing, as we've discussed many times in the past, it's not as clear cut as you might think it is from watching TV and movies. Just because someone's on your property, even if you've got the property marked, clearly indicated, and under the law in many states, including this one, I believe, I'll double check this. I know this is true in Texas, which is pertinent, obviously, because we're talking about San Antonio. I'll have to double check for Georgia, but fence posts with purple paint on the top of them are legally identical in some states to a sign that says "Posted private property, no trespassing." Sergeant Major says he thinks when the founder said bear arms, they meant clothing optional. They were interested in maximum freedom. I am totally comfortable with the idea of a nudist shooting range if that's what y'all are into, but I'm comfortable with the idea of it in existence. Doesn't mean it's one that I will likely be frequenting. So good luck with that, guys. Might want to consider the banana hammock just for the sake of not catching a hot round of 5.56 to the wrong sack. Anywho, you got somebody on the property, even if it's posted. You can't just shoot them. You can't just pull the trigger on them. And if it's not posted, a person being on your property, if there's not a reasonable expectation that the property is posted, they've seen the sign and have been thereby within the confines of the technical definition under law notified of their basically being unwelcome on the property. Just being on the property in that circumstance does not equal trespassing. A person is not trespassing on your property until they have been notified and or asked to leave. Now, to be clear though, that means that as soon as you ask someone to leave, well, it doesn't, right? It's not like a magic switch. It's not, hey, you're not welcome here and you need to leave. They are not now trespassing either. However, where the line happens is, hey, you're not welcome and you need to leave. And then they don't. That's when you're trespassing. It's when you've been notified, and then after having been notified, you either enter the property despite proper notification or refuse to leave following proper notification. And yes, if you're talking about a police officer without a warrant or an articulable mitigating circumstance, it's not mitigating circumstance. It is a mitigating circumstance, but the legal term of art they use is exigent circumstance. without a clearly articulable exigent circumstance or a warrant, right? Officer just comes up, knocks on the door. Hey, open up, police. Like, for one, you don't have to open that door until they show you a warrant. Hey, do you have a warrant? No, we don't have a warrant. Okay, come back with a warrant. Right there. Come back with a warrant. Now the officer is trespassing. Well, I mean, unless he turns around and leaves. Unless he says, yes, sir, and leaves. At that point, he's trespassing. Without probable cause. And even probable cause is sticky. Once they're on your private property, probable cause doesn't go nearly as far as it does if they were trying to make an arrest out in public. Right? Probable cause does not magically trump your private property right. That one, it does. You don't automatically get to vitiate probable cause as an argument on private property, but neither is probable cause a magic get out of trespassing free card. So that one's a little stickier and a little more interesting. And I said all that to say this. Looking at this headline, this might normally go to an automatic DRT, but we haven't read the article yet. And there's every chance that it's a DRT, but not a clean kill. So let's find out. Officers arrive at the scene of a shooting just after 1 a.m. at the 800 block of Allende Drive in San Antonio. Yeah, Allende Drive in San Antonio. Theos Esquivel. I'm guessing that was supposed to be the byline, just misplaced and poorly edited. A shooting in San Antonio led to the death of a man in his late 40s who police say refused to leave a home. Oh, there you go, early Sunday morning. After being told multiple times, early Sunday morning, June 30, at about 1 a.m. on the 800 block of Allende Drive, the San Antonio Police Department received a call for a shooting. Now, that right there, at about 1 a.m., y'all, okay, it's not quite 2 a.m., fair enough, but we talked about this the other day. Nothing good happens after 2 a.m. Go home and go to bed. This guy was clearly in someone else's home at 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, we don't know yet. We might find out. We don't know yet. This person could be a friend, a relative, a lover, or a target. We don't know yet. We're going to find out. Police said they were told by the homeowners on scene that a man had approached the home and knocked on the door. Homeowner asked the man to leave and never returned. However, a short time later, the homeowner heard the man back at the front door again, asked him to leave from their property. Okay, now it looks like we've got a stranger danger situation. It's 1 o'clock in the morning and this isn't your house. I've got 4 kids. And let's be fair, probably more than a little PTSD. A little battlefield paranoia. 1 o'clock in the morning and there's a stranger knocking on my front door. Yeah, I've got 4 kids. And we live in the middle of nowhere. Like, my mom and dad moved out to the country. And we live an hour past them. Right? They can order groceries to be delivered. Nope. Not out here. I mean, we are in the middle of nowhere. So I got a stranger at my front door at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'll give you about 30 seconds to tell me, Mister, I blew a flat out on the highway in front of your house and my car's stuck in the ditch and my phone's dead. Please help. I'm bleeding. That's... You need to get all that out real fast because I guarantee you I don't need to load a weapon. So 1 o'clock in the morning, you're knocking on the door. Shoo, buddy. There we are. A short time later, officials said the homeowner heard noises coming from their backyard. Oh dear. Oh dear. Now you've been told to leave and you're poking around and you're trying to, nope. The homeowner grabbed a shotgun, checked the yard, and again found the man they asked to leave back there. The homeowner asked the man to leave their yard, but the man lunged at the homeowner and his wife. Yep, we're done. We're done. Which caused the homeowner to fire a shot. The shot hit the man in the stomach. Gut shot with a shotgun. Woo! Didn't tell us what size shotgun, how much shotgun, or what it was loaded with, but that sounds dead at the scene. Hallelujah. DRT. You know what? That right there. Okay, so I talked a little bit about it a minute ago, what it means to be trespassing. So apparently this guy approached the door and was told to leave, approached the door again and was told to leave, and then went rummaging around in the backyard. Okay, trespassing laws. So, and this is why people will have signs that say no soliciting, quite separately from their posted private property signs. Under the law in most places, I'm not going to pull up the exact language for Georgia in particular, because I want to talk about generally how it works. And it differs, but only slightly in most cases from state to state. But as a rule of thumb, you can understand the trespassing laws to generally be, if the property is posted and you've entered it despite the posting, you are now trespassing, which, while not sufficient cause for someone to put some rounds in your ass. Yeah, Xander Mack, this is not legal advice. This is layman understanding. So it's posted. You've entered anyway. Well, now, while that's not by itself justification to put some rounds in your ass, that is sufficient without me contacting you, without me telling you to leave, that you've entered the property despite the posting. That's enough for me to call the police and have you trespassed. What it means to be trespassed in this context is that you are notified directly and officially by an official agent, a police officer, a law enforcement officer, in writing, and instructed that if you enter the property again, you will be automatically committing the crime of trespassing and subject to arrest and prosecution for that crime. However, even if the property is posted, right? So for this conversation, let's forget for a moment about the other option, which is it's not posted, I see you, and I tell you to go away, and you don't. Once I tell you to go away, you don't, I contact the police. It's the same if it was posted. But even if it's posted, a person enters the curtilage of your property to approach the door and knock. It doesn't matter if they're a solicitor or a total stranger. It doesn't matter what the reason is for which they approach the door and knock. Because, in a very practical sense, we cannot expect everyone to own a telephone, to even be able to send a letter in a timely manner, et cetera, et cetera. This kind of goes back to English common law, and it's referred to calling on, right? I'm paying you a call. What I'm doing is I'm calling you to the door to begin a conversation. And that might be, hey, I broke down in front of your house, or, oh God, I'm in trouble and you're the closest human, God, please help. Or would you like to come to my church, vote for my candidate, buy my useless exercise equipment? You have the, not the right, but the legal authority to approach the front door of a private home and knock, wait for a reasonable amount of time, which is, in most cases in law, is listed as to wait for a reasonable amount of time. What that reasonable amount of time is almost never, in fact, I think you'd be very hard pressed to find any state that clearly defines what that reasonable amount of time is. It's very much a subjective number. But for my taste, that subjective number is less than 10 minutes easily. Right? If you knock on my front door and I ignore you for 10 minutes and you're still there, I might start to get suspicious. But to just approach the door, knock on the door, good to go. It looks like the body in this story did that. So the first time he approached and knocked on the door, he was good to go. Right? Even if the property was posted, he just walked up and knocked on the door. And it doesn't say what the time was that elapsed before the homeowner met him at the door and told him to go away. So we're just going to assume, for the sake of argument and the sake of this discussion, that it was within a reasonable period of time. Except here's the thing: all this happened somewhere between midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning. Right? Okay, let's say that it happened over an extremely protracted period. The likelihood from the way the stories, it sounds like from somewhere after sundown. So this is an important caveat to everything I've just said, right? So it looks like he was well within his legal authority to approach and knock on the door, except that authorization in the law always presupposes and states clearly during normal business hours. Right? So everything I said, up to and including this guy that was shot for, and he wasn't, let's be clear, he wasn't shot for trespassing. He was shot as an act of self-defense when, after having committed the crime of trespassing and been notified thrice that he was doing so, he made an aggressive, furtive motion of attack against the homeowner and his wife. This is very much a clean shoot. The last line says the shooting remains under investigation. This is a very, unless they're leaving out some important details, which there doesn't seem like there's a lot of room for, this is a very clean self-defense shoot, it reads to me. But like I said, the guy that approached the door, he was good. He was okay. Right up until he knocked on the door and was told to leave. Assuming all this happened in broad daylight, right? Generally, we're talking about like between the hours of 9 and 5, normal business hours, right? You come knocking on my front door before 9 o'clock in the morning, you better have donuts. You want to knock on my door and ask me about my insurance provider? Buddy, it better be after my morning nap. I'm just saying. Come with donuts. So, but yeah, this one, it's funny. There's not a whole lot of story there, but I just put a lot of time on that story. But it's fun, and I like to talk about some of the nuances of law that are important to understand. As a citizen, and I don't just mean as a U.S. citizen, as a citizen anywhere, as a person, it is valuable, and this is probably why civics isn't really taught in schools anymore, unless you're basically going after a law degree. If you don't have at least a rudimentary understanding of the law and of your rights and your obligations and authorities under the law, you're not missing information you're not just missing information that's going to preclude you from being able to engage in meaningful and interesting conversations. No, it's far worse than that. If you are not if you're not very aware of your rights and have at least some measure of legal and civic literacy, you are imperiling yourself and those around you. You are making yourself vulnerable to the slings and arrows of an obviously corrupt government. And I just said of an obviously corrupt government, right? Just a second ago, I said this doesn't just apply to American citizens. I defy you to point to a government today that is not obviously and perilously corrupt. I dare you. So a basic legal and civic literacy, legal and civic education is a must. I mean, we practice safe sex in this house, and that includes our physical security and our comm security, our legal security, right? ComSec, PersSec, PhysSec, OPSEC, PersSec, MatSec. We practice safe sex in this house, and part of that is knowing what you do and do not own, and what your rights are relative to your private and individual properties. We can definitely do one more. I'm down to about a half a cup of coffee that's starting to cool, so see how much further we can get. But hey, I'm having a great morning. I hope you guys are too. Mobile man killed in self-defense shooting, police say. I don't like that they put the quotes on self-defense. That almost feels like one of them stories out of California or somewhere where they refer to the mugger that was killed by the lawfully armed citizen as the victim because he's the one that died. No, son, he was not the victim. He was the victimizer. He was devictimized. He was not victimized. He was disambiguated. So Mobile man killed in self-defense shooting, police say. A young person acted in self-defense according to the Mobile Police Department. A 52-year-old man was shot and killed in Mobile on Saturday evening after a young person, quote unquote, acted in self-defense. Okay. I'm actually suddenly a little skeptical and very interested in where this story's going. Around 8:58 p.m. on Saturday, the Mobile Police Department says officers responded to a call about a shooting in the 450 block of Driver Street. There, they found Cornell Ross, 52, dead in the driveway of a home. That sounds like a DRT if it's a clean shoot. Officials say that the incident is an active investigation and will be presented to a grand jury. Mobile Police is seeking any information that could help with the case. If you purchase a product, there's no information here. It doesn't tell us anything about what happened. I don't have enough here to opine. Sergeant Major says Mobile is a city with Democrats. Yeah, it's one of those blue cancer dots. I see our number's pretty high this morning, and I see a few names here that I don't recognize in the chat. So if for those of you who haven't watched this show before, let me just say one of the things that we harp on, that we talk about often, and I'll even pull up. I usually find a visual aid for this one real quick. There are no blue cities. Or I'm sorry, there are no blue states. There are only red states with blue cancers, right? So you can pretty reliably pull up a map that shows off the. Okay, and this map actually. I stand corrected a little bit on this one, but even looking at this map, you could see California is about 50-50 red and blue by county distribution, right? But you get into Los Angeles and San Francisco and all that, and they have dense populations, right? There's Alabama, they've got like a blue belt, right? Georgia's got a blue belt that kind of connects to the one in Alabama and cuts up through South Carolina. Okay, now this is so I hadn't even thought about this pattern right here, but there's something that needs some looking at. And you'll notice that the thing that the blue cancers all have in common is high value real estate, big money. Because it takes a lot of money, right? It takes a huge amount of money. Communists, like all parasites, do not spend their time in places where there's nothing to steal. Communists go to where the money is, like Atlanta, Georgia, right? And like I said, there's no blue states. Okay, in fairness, there's two up here that are pure blue. Maine is pretty blue. But even when you think about a blue state, generally you think about California, which is about 50-50. You think about New York, about 50-50, right? But New York has New York City. California has San Francisco and Los Angeles, right? You think of Illinois. Look at that, Illinois, right? You think of Washington State, right? Well, yeah, Washington State's crammed full of lefties, right? I've got family that lives in Washington State, but you look at Washington State and they're, your lefties, your commies are all clustered up here around the port. And then my people are over here, right? Near the, yeah. So just a little something for those of you guys that are new here. And then a little anecdotal story, little fun story. Washington does have a bunch of liberals in the kind of Washington State does have a bunch of liberals in the capital area. That's another thing. You tend to find them around state capitals, wherever the legislatures are, because they want to be there to influence the local laws so they can shift tax money into their pocket. Remember, they're basically they're just criminals. They're money launderers and embezzlers. They're criminals. It's the core of them. Danny says, I think current polls make the map a little more red. You're correct. But Washington State, and I'm going to close on this. I've got one or two more stories, but I think we've gone over a bit, and that last one was so disappointing. I'm just kind of done with it. But anecdotally, so family in Washington, the blue cancer is all centered around the state capitol on the opposite end of the state from where my family lives. And they're right next to the road into Idaho, pretty short drive into Coeur d'Alene. And there's an Indian reservation there. So, of course, you got a bunch of liberals around the Capitol, so taxes are high, and that includes sales taxes and vice taxes. And so, a carton of cigarettes in Spokane, Washington, is about $100, maybe $110, right? They're around $80 or $90 a carton right down the street here. It's been a few years since I personally bought cigarettes in Washington State, and now I don't smoke, so yay. But in the past, when we've been up there to visit, it's like, okay, I'm out of smokes. Let me run down to the store. Whoa, Chris, no, no. You don't want to do that. Why is that, mother-in-law? Because this is Washington. Let Paul take you over to the res in Idaho. Okay, like oh, I see. My cigarettes at the gas station down the street from the house are almost $100 for a carton. Oh, they're 35 on the res? What's that? Okay, okay. Oh, it's what's that? Oh, it's 19.99 on the res. Thank you. Works for me. Um, Also, quit smoking. They're expensive and they smell bad. Uh, which is not to say I wouldn't be deeply tempted to light one up right now, but I've been a month without smoking. So we did a safety brief yesterday, and here's the thing about the 4th of July happening on a Thursday. We're going into the weekend. I fully expect that out here in the country, I'm going to see neighbors throwing fireworks up in the air tonight. Who knows? I might even get squirrely and go see if they're trying to get rid of some on discount at the little tent in front of the Walmart down there. Who knows? But we are going into the weekend. You may even have some fireworks left over, and hey, put them up, have fun, celebrate. John Adams said that the 3rd of July should be celebrated and remembered with pomp and circumstance and parade and celebration and fireworks. He was very explicitly clear that we should be throwing fireworks up to celebrate the 4th of July, or I'm sorry, the 3rd of July. And then, of course, the delegates from some of the further out states like Georgia and Florida showed up late because, well, it's a long fucking ride on a horse. And so they signed the declaration on the 4th instead of the 3rd when Adams expected it. But that's just fun and funny to know. In fact, that letter by John Adams about the celebration of the 4th of July, the 3rd of July, that's worth a read. You should, honestly, as soon as I'm done yammering at you, you ought to flip your phone over to your Safari app or whatever and just go read the John Adams letter about celebrating Independence Day. But I expect many of you have some beer left over, you have some fireworks left over, and you are going to be tempted. And I say go for it. But be careful. Know what you're doing, right? One at a time. Come back with 10 and 10. Don't drive drink. Don't fry your bacon naked. Y'all be safe. Thanks for watching. That number that I'm seeing for current active viewers is a pretty good one that we don't see very often. Maul says we did not hear any fireworks here in the country. We heard some fireworks out here further out in the country. And I'm pretty sure that was some of my redneck neighbors that I have not yet gotten to get around to meet. So now that I'm back out of the sick bed and up and moving around better, and hopefully I'm going to get some steroids and physical abuse to fix my broken back. I'm planning on just taking my pick-em-up truck and driving out, knocking on some doors and introducing myself to some of these farmers. So, but thanks for watching this morning, guys. We appreciate you. We love you, and we will see you on Monday.